If you've been on YouTube at some point in the past year, then you've almost certainly seen something from Pirate Software. Pirate Software is run by Jason Thor Hall, who has worked at the tech giants Blizzard Entertainment and Amazon Game Studios, and is now a reformed independent game developer and live streamer. The game development company is also called Pirate Software, and you can see their website here. It's a cool site, and the idea of a pirate also being a software developer is a really interesting one that I'd love to play with some more. So today, we're going to redesign this site. This is going to be a challenge for me. I normally build websites and product UIs for software companies, and a site like this deserves to be highly stylized with lots of unique textures and stuff. It is a big weakness of mine. I'm not a graphic designer by any stretch of the imagination, but we're going to have some fun with it. There's a lot of really cool stuff we could do with a site like this. So I hope you're ready to watch me suffer. Let's get going. I'm really liking this font from Johanna here. It seems to allow us to preserve that kind of uniqueness and like fun and playfulness that's already on the site, but also get a more piratey feel. Obviously, it's called Skull and Crossbones. I'll pop a link in the description to this font for anyone that wants to check it out. Alright, gonna start with a header here. One thing about the existing site is there wasn't a header. The whole kind of homepage hero was the navigation, which is fine, but I'm gonna add a dedicated navigation in the top, which will allow us to add a little more branding to the whole site on every page, and then also easily navigate through the homepage. I'm thinking there's maybe something we can do to generate a logo where we kind of play around with the typography in the logo. Like maybe we have Pirate Software, but then like, oh, the software is actually like a mono font. So we're kind of playing on the fact that this is both fun, but also like serious software development. I might come back to that. Moving on to the hero section here, I definitely want to include some of the footage of Heartband playing in the background, because I think that would add a lot more kind of a visual spectacle to the site and get people intrigued and cause them to want to scroll a little further. It's also a really cool game visually, so like why not show off some of the assets. At the end of the day, I really try to not lose sight of the purpose of a website when I'm designing the individual sections. And a site like this, the purpose really is just to get people to learn a little bit more about Pirate Software and maybe reach out to them. So the homepage hero doesn't need to be too complicated. We just need to get people to commit to scrolling a little more. So now I'm trying to figure out what would make the most sense to go in the hero text section. I want to put something here that kind of captures the essence of what Thor does, but also kind of explains Pirate Software. So this is a little bit of a challenge here. I think I'm just going to put some placeholder text here for now, and then come back to this. I really don't like the visual hierarchy I've created here. I think it might make sense to get rid of this, the button in the header, and then only focusing on the buttons in the body here. All right, got a super weird idea. Since this background video kind of flashes between full screen and constrained, it looks really kind of jarring when I'm looking at the preview here in Figma. So I think what I'm gonna do is, instead of having this video take up the full background, I'm gonna left align everything like I've got here, but then have like a little hole in the back of the container through which the video appears. Maybe it looks like the hole in the side of a ship or something. Like a cannonball just hit it or something. I don't know. It's a little bit ambitious. But I'm gonna try and play around with this idea for a little bit. I realized pretty quickly that my graphic design skills are really going to hold me back here, so instead of doing a hole in the side of the ship, which would be quite hard to figure out how to build, I'm just going to do a porthole, because a circle is much easier to cut out than a very complicated cannonball hole. I think you kind of get the point we're going for here. I'm just trying to make this seem like you're on a pirate ship. I just need to make it polish it up a little bit more, and then I need to cut out this porthole. Maybe make it a transparent PNG or just frame it in Figma, and then put the video behind all of that. I hate manually cutting things out. It takes so long. Just gonna meticulously carve out every single corner. Okay, I think this is all right for the hero section for now. I've swapped out the font for Fear of Code, which I got from Eric Kennedy's Good Fonts table. Link in the bio, definitely check out that resource. It's so good for picking good typography. There's a couple of things I still don't like about this, but I'm just gonna come back to it later after I've had some time to work on some other design problems and get some of the next sections done first. So we're adding in the games section where we're just going to have a blade for each game with a little bit of flair for each of them. But since we have such a stylized header here, we can't just transition directly to another container, which is much more simple. Instead, I'm going to try and add some textures here, these little splatters and maybe just like a stroke of paint to imply that we're moving from a stylized header to a much more simpler, mostly informative section. Okay, so I'm abandoning the idea of doing kind of a like splatter separator and instead just embracing the treatment that I was going for originally with just having the porthole in the background and then kind of floating the text on top, and then we just fade into the section below it as if we're going into the shadows. Works really well. However, as I'm doing this, I'm realizing that these buttons should probably be like kind of like paper content, as if they were like a treasure map or something. I think that would be more appropriate than the very like hyper modern buttons we have here. So I'm just gonna leave a note on this hero section. And as we've said like 20 times so far, come back to this layer. Now with blades like these, where you're showcasing a list of items, it's really hard to strike the balance between consistency and visual interest. And here, for the interest of time, I really leaned on making things consistent. But since I did that, I wanted to add a lot more unique flair to the individual items by giving them this nice transparent outline, and then later, a really cool gradient that features the accent colors a little more. So I know this looks quite bad right now, but I really want to inject some more color here and break up the monotony of just like black, 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 black. So I'm just going to trust the process, be patient, and play around with this for a lot longer and see if I can make it work. I'll speed through it though, so you don't have to watch it. Okay, so I think this is a good compromise. The overall aesthetic of the site is dark, so it would be a little bit jarring if we put like a completely contrasting bright saturated color. I really like using these background radial gradients to kind of sample from the featured image a little bit and give a little splash, a little touch of color without completely overwhelming the user. And I think it adds a lot more character to these individual blades. So I'm gonna finish this up with Kill the Moon, and then I think we'll be good to move on to the team section. Okay, I think this is solid. It's decent enough for now. Maybe we can come back and apply a little bit of polish. But I think the next step is to move on to showcasing the team at Pirate Software. I feel like we could have a dedicated blade for that, where we just kind of help people get to know the developers behind the company. Let's get going. Now, if you know anything about Thor, you'll know that he has a very interesting philosophy when it comes to running Pirate Software. He treats everyone that he works with as an equal, and they all get shared compensation of all the assets that they develop. Really radical perspective compared to most game design studios these days. We need a lot more of that. But anyway, given that that's the case, I wanted to make sure that each member of the crew here had their own shared space that sort of implied that they were an equal contributor to the company. Alright, got a couple more sections that I want to build out and a whole bunch of polish I want to apply to like basically the entire site. But it's quite late now on a Sunday, so I'm going to stop for today and come back with a fresh brain tomorrow. We're back, and we're gonna get straight back in and build the next section, which is gonna be a call to action to get people to go and watch the development stream over on Twitch. Now, I feel like we can definitely do some kind of like heavy purple color here because it is Twitch after all, right? These days, Thor also streams on YouTube, a smart move given the volatility of these streaming platforms, but either way, users probably have preferences as to which tool they use to consume the stream, so we're building this simple little toggler to swap between the two. Found a really cool tool that generates these kinds of section separators. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out. But we're just going to spam a whole bunch of these waves here because I think it'll kind of imply that you're delving deeper into the ocean. I think it'll be a really cool effect once it's done. Yes, this is what we want here. This is it. Come on. Ooh, very nice. So it looks a little bit too tacky and not like a real wave, an ocean wave, but I think it's good enough to kind of get the point across. I want to add a little more depth to this and kind of imply that it's the ocean by adding just like a hidden octopus arm. So I'm gonna see if I can actually make this work. It seems a little bit cheesy, but we'll give it a shot. But yeah, that's nice. But now we can also add like a bunch of other little SVGs in here, bubbles and jellyfish and stuff to make it look like you're actually in the ocean. Just gonna add a very basic footer with some attributions and then a little bit of last minute flair for anyone browsing the site. Okay, I think I'm gonna find a way to make these buttons look like little scrolls of paper, kind of like a pirate's treasure map or something. Let's see what we can come up with here. As you can see here, when I'm left to my own devices to do something that isn't strictly product or web design, I really struggle. And in times like this, I like to just get a reference image and I just use that to understand the geometry of the thing I'm building and then try and translate it. Okay, we seem to have a decent little button here. I've set it up in Figma with some layout constraints so I can type anything I want in here and the little banner goes all the way across. Kinda cool, kinda cool. We'll see how this works when I actually get it into the UI, but I'm excited now. Alright, there we go. I think this site captures the essence of like a pirate-themed software developer quite well, actually. And the floating background of the ship kind of gives you the feel that you are on a pirate ship looking out into the sea of possibilities, which is all the games you're going to build. I really like the aesthetic of these little scroll buttons. I think they're really clean and fit the vibe really well. I like the way we're showcasing all the games. It's subtle, but still, you know, quite nice and styled. We're showing off the crew's quarters, where each member of Pirate Software has their own little place. And then, of course, if you brave the depths of the website, you're presented with the very spooky purple ocean where the stream resides. And amidst the jellyfish and the bubbles, you can go over and check out Pirate Software on Twitch, which I encourage everyone to do. It's good vibes, and hey, you might learn something as well. I've put links to all the resources that I used in the description, as well as links to the Pirate Software website and all the individual contributors' websites as well. So hopefully you enjoy this one, and I'll see you in the next one. And by the way, corn is not a fruit. It's a vegetable.